Hey everybody, this is Alzorath and welcome to Shadow Era Trials. Today we're seeing an Elementalist versus a Boris. This is actually a fairly interesting matchup. The two of them kind of counter each other almost. The Boris can shut down all the little guys that Elementalist usually relies on, and Elementalist can outgrow many of the little guys that Boris usually relies on. Boris, however, can play some big guys, so can Elementalist. So it's kind of an interesting little matchup. I think Boris is better equipped in this matchup as far as counters go, but you see one of those counters go into the graveyard there. We see a fleet-footed messenger come in on turn 3 for the Boris. He's going to go ahead and attack with the Yari Blade Dancer because he cannot take out that, oh, I'm forgetting his name. He's going to attack next turn, and I'll get the name then. But Harbinger of the Lost. He's going to go ahead and attack. He's not going to attack the Harbinger of the Lost because it would cost him pretty much a guy. We see the Krygon go up to a 3/5 thanks to Elementalist's ability. Krygon is really good with Elementalist in my opinion thanks to the haste effect and its ability to drop in, get pumped, and deal a lot of damage. Turn 4, it's even more dangerous by being able to reduce an enemy's life by 1, so that's pretty good. The Harbinger of the Lost is going to go ahead and soften the fleet-footed messenger, which is kind of important. The Alarian Seductress comes in to shut down the Krygon's assault, and we see the fleet-footed messenger go ahead and get another ping damage in on Elementalist because, wager, it's going to die pretty soon. Okay, the Boris is sitting on 3 Shadow Energy. That means it can pop a guy next turn. Go ahead and see some card discarding there. It's going to give him a 3/2, a 2/3, and a Harbinger of the Lost as well, which is pretty nasty. Leviosablade goes ahead and plays a Blood Frenzy on himself. That's very important in, well, keeping himself afloat. He's got to get this card draw out so he can actually counter all of these attacks by the Elementalist, who is actually without card draw right now. Larian Seductress goes ahead and kills the Reactorary, and you have the Fleet-Footed Messenger. He's going to go ahead and pop his ability. This is a good idea. If you have a late game card, go ahead and pop your ability. Try to get some of your earlier game cards. That way you don't have to sacrifice the late game cards early on quite as much unless you're really in need of the resources. So that's kind of an important thing. That's probably the reason why the Fleet-Footed Messenger is in there. It's kind of a soft draw. Let's go ahead and see Fleet-Footed Messenger die to a pumped False Blood Cultist. Yeah, that probably hurt quite a bit. Another Harbinger of the Lost gets rid of some item removal for the Boris, which puts him in a pretty bad position. There's a 2/3, a 4/3, and a 2/4 on the board for an Elementalist who's going to get his ability next turn, and Boris is far off of his ability. So that's pretty nasty. A Crippling Blow comes in and shuts down the False Blood Cultist there, and we see a Larian Seductress go ahead and smack the Elementalist. I have a feeling the Boris knows that some of his guys are gonna die this turn. It's gonna be a bad time. He just doesn't know how much of a bad time. The Stardust Amplifier comes in, the Elementalist pumps him, which pumps all the other guys, which means these Harbingers of the Lost are going to kill the Blade Dancer, and he's got a 3/5 Harbinger of the Lost there that's just going to smack Boris in the face. Blood Frenzy slowly ticking away at the health. You really need to watch that as a warrior because, well, you can end up dying just from your Blood Frenzy just draining too much life, especially if you start falling behind, like Leviosablade is currently doing. He goes ahead and gets a Dragon's Tooth, though, and kills the Stardust Amplifier, which slows down Elementalist's assault quite a bit, because that would have been a big guy who was really big pain to deal with. And it gives Boris a little bit more time to build up his Shadow Energy. He's got the Dragon's Tooth, he's got the Larian Seductress there, but we've also got Dagger of Fate and Antimatter in on the Elementalist. Elementalist is going to go and soften the Larian Seductress so that one of the Harbingers of the Lost can finish her off, which is a pretty good idea. Yeah, he didn't get to pump the Dagger of Fate, but it wasn't really necessary. It wouldn't have made a difference in that equation. So he goes after the the Dragon's Tooth, just to get some of that durability off of it so he can play some big guys later on if he really needs to. Pretty good there. We go and see a Crippling Blow on yet another one of the enemies. Yari Marksman comes in and shows one of the uses of Yari Marksman. Yari Marksman is pretty nasty whenever it comes to warriors because, well, you can start shutting down enemy allies and then start using the Yari Marksman to kill off any effective allies they drop out. This is one of the strongest counters against Elementalist that this Boris has. So it's pretty nasty, but the Mind Control on the Yari does a lot more damage right now, shutting down the Boris's board yet again, but thankfully he does have the card draw to make up for it. Unfortunately, Elementalist has the Antimatter as well, so kind of got to decide what you're going to do there. I'm not sure whether this was the best choice with the Artful Squire. I might have gone after the Antimatter there just to shut down draw, but I can see how he wouldn't want to see the Dagger of Fate sticking it out. So, yeah, it's kind of hit or miss. Yeah, it's up to you. Which one would you choose? Viewers, I'm not sure which one I would choose in this situation either, but hindsight is 2020, so you could change what you're doing there. We go and see the reactor killed by Boris's ability, and we're going to see an Alden the Brave come out just as a guy. Now, the Boris doesn't have a dominant field position right now, but at least he has a field position. He has the Alden on board, but that's going away fairly quickly. We go ahead and see a Rampant Krygon come in to finish him off. Thankfully, the Elementalist doesn't have the resources to actually use Rampant Krygon's ability and cast it at the same time, so he has to kill him the old-fashioned way, which means the Boris has saved 2 damage there. And math is very important in this game. We see another Yari Marksman. He drops in to kill off the False Blood Cultist. Only reason there, I believe, was probably to get rid of the bigger threat. See a Fleet-Footed Messenger come in, and he's going to go ahead and let the Fleet-Footed Messenger take the damage here, letting the Rampant Krygon go down to 1, and Dragon's Tooth is going to go ahead and finish off the Krygon, and is going to break the Dragon's Tooth, unfortunately. So that means that the Boris has guys. He's got an okay position, but he only has 5 damage on board, and he is losing life each turn. And the Elementalist has already shown, hey, I have Krygons. I can haste this up. I can pump him. I have a lot of shadow energy. There's a lot of things that can go on right here. The Harbinger of the Lost whiffs. Fortunate for the Boris, I believe. And we go and see a pump on the Harbinger of the Lost, boosting it up to a 2/6, meaning this Marksman here can't just one-shot it, so he has to decide what he wants to do there. Yari Marksman comes in, attacks the Elementalist. We see a Road Less Traveled. Yet another use of this Yari Marksman. He goes ahead and goes back to the hand, comes into play, and shoots the third ally again. So Road Less Traveled plus Yari Marksman is a lovely combo, as you can tell. We still have the Fleet-Footed Messenger. He almost attacks with him, but then he realizes, hey, I still have resources, so might as well cycle some of these cards I don't need in hopes of getting one that I do. I don't think he was digging for anything specific, just digging for something a little bit more utilitarian to his situation. Possibly a King's Pride, such as his sleeves kind of indicate. See a Soulbound Armor come in. That's a big, nasty guy. He's going to go ahead and discard a guy to kill the Yari Marksman. Yeah, you lose a 2/4, I believe is what he is. But you deal 3 damage to the lowest health guy, which just happened to be the 4/2, which was a big nasty guy, which would have one-shot the Soulbound Armor. Now the Boris is in a real big pickle, because that Soulbound Armor there, yeah, it's a lot of damage. But thankfully, Crippling Blow comes in and shuts it down. So we have a 3 damage Fleet-Footed Messenger. It's a 3/4, that's basically a Jasmine, without any real special effects. Come in, deal 3 damage to the Elementalist, knocking him down to 9. He can go ahead and pump, but he doesn't have anything to pump, so he antimatters up. He doesn't have a Mind Control, which would have been kind of useful to him right there. He goes ahead and antimatters out yet another one of those homunculi there that deals damage. I forget its name. I never actually play it on the field. So yeah, he's going to go ahead and kill it off with the Krygon. And the Krygon now can actually attack and reduce some of that durability on the armor, which the Boris Skull Crusher is using to stay alive. Now he's going to be down to 3 life, which is a painful situation to be in. Yeah, he can use his ability, though, to kill off that Krygon. Thank goodness for the Boris having that ability. Otherwise, he would have been doomed right here. Let's go ahead and see the Visca come into play. This is a big swing. That's going to be 5 damage in on the Elementalist. Do we see any follow-ups on this? Yes, we do. We see a Road Less Traveled coming in on the Visca, pulling it back to the hand, giving him some more card draw, but he has that guaranteed Visca next turn, which is 5 damage, so he has to remove the armor, or he has to kill the Boris this turn, or he is dead to the Visca. He is digging, he's getting guys out, he's getting weapons out, but he doesn't have anything to really punch through it. As you can tell, he's out of resources, comes in for the 1 damage. Boris goes down to 2. If he could have gotten 1 more damage in, 1 more damage, he could have actually killed the Boris. If he would have gotten a Krygon there, he would have killed the Boris. But the Elementalist dies to a Visca, and that is a 1 life win for the Boris. Leviosablade just eking it out there, just barely. But he still got the win, and it was a good win at that. So if you guys enjoyed this, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And be sure to check out the game yourself if you guys are enjoying the videos. It's quite entertaining. And if you guys have any matches that you would like to be seen on this channel, be sure to submit it either in the comments, on Twitter, on Facebook, or private message me on the forums themselves. And I will see you guys next time on Shadow Era Trials. Keep gaming, have fun, peace out. This has been Alzorath. Bye.